What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Appreciate Greatness. Mike Brown just got fired. I want to talk about it. It's going to be a short-ish video. I was going to make a TikTok, and I realized I had a lot to say on this topic. So, Mike Brown getting fired from the Kings. I think I think this isn't going to solve all your problems if you're the Kings, right? You go out, you acquire DeMar DeRozan in the off season, thinking I don't really know what the thought is, but maybe bringing in another star, just trying to bring in as much talent as possible. And what they've been running is a lineup with De'Aaron, Malik Monk, DeMar, who's there for Keegan and Domantas Sabonis, and it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked, especially in the fourth quarter. I think they've lost 13 clutch time games, and um, like I said, I don't think it's going to solve all their problems, but I do see kind of the vision with the firing because you've lost I think 13, like I said, 13 clutch time games, which is insane. Went from and you had De'Aaron clutch player of the year. You have DeMar who was I think second in clutch player of the year in 2023. Like you have two of the clutchest players in the NBA, and you've lost 13 clutch time games. And so you can look at that as like, okay, coaching. This has to be a coaching thing. Keon Ellis not playing near enough, not starting Keon Ellis has been mind-boggling to me. And so I think there are some things that with the Kings that is coaching. However, I don't know if you can just fix that by firing Mike Brown in the middle of the season, right? I think this is something that you would have to wait a year on, and I don't think it's going to happen fast. I don't think it's going to happen as quick as they want, especially because I just don't think this is a well-built roster, right? I don't know what just happened to my webcam, but we're going to fight through it. I don't think this is a well-built roster. Keegan Murray's been struggling to shoot the three ball, and coming out of Iowa, he wasn't necessarily a knockdown, lights-out three-point shooter. He was great in the mid-range. He was a great post player, and that's how he kind of got his points. But last year and the year before, he's been made to a catch-and-shoot three guy, and he's been great. And so he's just off to a slow start, which is definitely hurting the Kings. Malik Monk in the starting lineup, him and De'Aaron, just defensively, him, De'Aaron, DeMar, and then Domantas. That's not a great defensive four. Keegan Murray's a pretty good defensive player, all things considered. Keon Ellis, though, is sitting on your bench. He's gotten some DNPs this year. He's kind of just rotting away. Like, he's barely playing. And so I think whoever the next coach is, they need to come in and say, Keon Ellis is a starter. Malik Monk, you're back off the bench. But if that's not the case, then I think if Malik Monk was brought in and told when he signed that contract he was going to be a starter, then I see this more on Monty McNair than it is on Mike Brown. Because what can you do as if you're Mike Brown when you have three bad defensive guys? De'Aaron's not a bad defensive guy. He just exerts so much energy offensively that he's not necessarily a plus all the time. Like, he can't be your defensive guy, if that makes sense. So you have three guys who aren't really defensive guys. You have Domantas, who's not really a defensive guy. He can really grab rebounds. And then you have Keegan Murray, who's a solid defensive player. You don't have the stopper, who Keon Ellis, every time he plays, they had that defensive player of the game chain. He got it every time because that's how good defensively he is. And they don't have defense in the starting lineup. And that's kind of why I say it's a poorly constructed team. I still don't understand what bringing in DeMar was going to do for you other than just bring in more talent and another scoring option, I guess. But even then, again, this can be on Mike Brown. There hasn't been a lot ran for DeMar specifically that I'm like, okay, I get why he's here now, because it just hasn't worked. He's not a great three-point shooter. De'Aaron's not a great three-point shooter. Domantas has actually been a great three-point shooter this year, but not historically a great. Teams don't really like say, hey, that's a knockdown shooter. We got to get out. We got to close out to him. They kind of leave him and can go elsewhere. And then Domantas, I think he's taking three threes a game, so he's not necessarily lights out. Keegan Murray struggled. Kevin Huerter, even, who is really, though, he can only shoot. That's all he does, and he hasn't been shooting well. And so it's just kind of this situation for the Kings where you have nothing. You have no real way to get better other than Keegan Murray shooting better, De'Aaron Fox or DeMar DeRozan in the fourth quarter taking over every time. Again, 13 clutch losses. And you have the two most clutch players on the court. One of them has to be the guy. one of them, because I don't think you can switch off in the fourth quarter, especially because it's in the fourth quarter in clutch time scenarios. It's more about getting hot than it is just being good, right? In my opinion. And so De'Aaron was one of the best at getting hot in the fourth quarter. DeMar's the same way. You have to choose one of them on any given night. And I don't think they've done a good job of that this year. And so maybe what Monty McNair and the Kings are looking at is we have this to improve on. We can improve the fourth quarter play. We can improve the starting lineup by starting Keon Ellis because some reason Mike Brown wants to start Malik Monk. Maybe if they haven't told Malik Monk that he's a starter and when he signed his contract, because then that's just going to cause turmoil and whatever. And I think another thing they're looking at is De'Aaron Fox he's up for an extension and he might not want to come back, and you don't want to lose him just because you lose him, right? He's great in the community. He loves Sacramento. Like, I don't think this is as much on Mike Brown as it is on the Kings kind of panicking and like saying we need De'Aaron back no matter what. We can lose anyone else but De'Aaron, so we have to make some sort of move to make us better. And I think that's more of what this is. But again, they're in such a weird spot because you trade for DeMar, and now you have 3 non-shooters in your starting lineup. You have Malik Monk starting, which just adds to the poor defense. And then you have Keegan Murray starting, who's not necessarily a lockdown defender. He's a good defender, and he's struggling to shoot. And so all the three-point responsibility is really on Keegan Murray in that lineup. And so it's tough. It's tough, especially to be a Kings fan right now, because 3 years ago, Mike Brown was the best coach in the NBA. You know, hey, he got this team outperforming what they should have. They almost beat the Warriors in round 1 in the 6-3 matchup that year. And now you're kind of like fighting for a playoff spot. Fighting for a play-in spot, not a playoff spot. And so I think this is a last-ditch effort for Monty McNair, which is something I did want to talk about, is GMs save face by firing coaches, and I think that needs to change because I think we see a lot of coaches get fired because of GM's inability to build a good roster. And I think that's a little bit of what we're seeing here with Mike Brown. It's just not a great roster, and Monty McNair is trying to save himself by firing a coach and hoping this new coach can come in and fix all their woes. I don't think it'll happen, but it might. And so we'll see. But I'm sorry, Kings fans. I think y'all are 74 years without a championship or something outrageous. So hopefully it ends soon. I mean, the Kings are one of my favorite teams to watch for the past 2-3 years, and so it sucks for me too because I love watching them. So, but I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe. I'm pumping out content right now. I'm hoping to get more and more and more as we go. I was going to make this a TikTok, but I made it an 8-minute YouTube video. So I hope y'all enjoyed. Please leave a like, subscribe. I hope I made one of y'all day because that's my goal. Make someone's day a little easier. Love y'all. Peace.